Have you ever considered what kind of determination it takes to completely reject the limits society places on you? And then, just for good measure, reject the limits that science itself places on the physical world?
Today, we are doing a deep dive into the life of Marie Curie-born Maria Sklodowska. Our sources are just loaded with details that show she was, well, far more than a brilliant scientist.
She was a genuine force of nature.
A force of nature, exactly. She operated outside the boundaries of expectation, of culture, and eventually of established physics.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about a woman in a man's world during the 1800s, fighting not just for a place in the lab, but for the basic right to learn. So our mission today is to, rapidly unpack the key moments of her brilliance, trace the path of her groundbreaking discoveries, and crucially understand the immense personal cost of that dedication.
And to really appreciate her achievements, you have to start at the beginning. The challenge she faced was just staggering.
Right. She was born in Warsaw in 1867.
And at the time, Poland was under the oppressive rule of the Russian Empire. This meant that opportunities for women, especially in higher education, advanced science, they were virtually non-existent.
So her story isn't one of privilege at all.
Not in the slightest. It's a testament to raw intellectual tenacity.
Let's unpack that initial fight for knowledge, because it wasn't just about earning a good grade. It was, well, an act of political defiance.
It absolutely was. The sources highlight this intense, almost painful hunger to learn that people saw in her from a young age.
For physics and math specifically.
Yes, and since formal education was barred to women, she had to satisfy this hunger by studying secretly at home.
But she didn't just stay home, right? She joined this institution that sounds like something out of a spy novel.
The Flying University.
The Flying University. Tell us about that.
What's so fascinating here is the sheer level of risk involved. It was a clandestine underground school, basically, set up in defiance of Russian control.
So just for her to attend a physics class.
She was risking severe punishment, imprisonment or worse, just for seeking knowledge. That early defiance, it really set the blueprint for her entire adult life.
That context is so important. So when she decides to leave Poland and travel alone to Paris at age 24, it wasn't just a student going abroad.
No, he was a woman committing to a life she had been told, repeatedly, was forbidden. Her drive was established long before any Nobel Prizes ever entered the picture.
And those Paris years they were just brutal. The sources detail the extreme poverty she faced while studying at the Sorbonne.
It was an existence of profound isolation. She had no money, no connections, and lived in these tiny, unheated garrets in the Latin Quarter.
Fainting from hunger, studying by candlelight.
Absolutely. The stories are famous. She was so focused that she just neglected her own basic needs.
It's a stark reminder that genius often requires this massive personal sacrifice, but despite it all, the talent was undeniable.
Undeniable. She wasn't just attending classes, she was excelling wildly. The data point that just stands out is that she graduated at the top of her class.
Number one, at the University of Paris.
The whole academic year.
Let's just pause on that for a second. A woman in the 1890s who started her education in an illegal underground school comes to Paris and tops the class in physics.
It must have been an earthquake in the halls of the Sorbonne.
And it wasn't just one degree.
Right. First in physics, ranking number 1. A year later, a second degree, this time in mathematics. She was positioning herself perfectly for cutting-edge research.
Which is when she meets Pierre Curie. And we should be clear, this wasn't just a simple fairy tale. Pierre was already a respected scientist.
That's right. He was a gentle, brilliant man who immediately recognized her genius, which was, rare for the time, but his reputation and access were important.
And the lab they shared wasn't some state-of-the-art facility?
Not at all. The sources describe it as an old shed. Leaky, poor ventilation, no sophisticated equipment. Their partnership was based purely on curiosity and incredible patience.
And that humble shed is where they completely redefined physics. Let's get to 1898 and her focus on the mineral pitchblende. What was she looking at?
Well, she was studying these strange emissions from uranium-containing minerals. Henri Becquerel had noticed them, but the assumption was that the energy was proportional to the amount of uranium.
But Marie noticed something was off with pitchblende.
Exactly. This was her key insight. She saw that pitchblende was 4 times more radioactive than pure uranium.
So something else had to be in there.
Something else must be hiding in that mineral, something infinitely more potent. And this realization, it required a whole new vocabulary.
She invented the word.
She did. She coined the term radioactivity to describe this strange, constant release of energy from inside the atom. This was revolutionary. It proved the atom wasn't indivisible.
And the work to prove it was just grueling.
Oh, it was backbreaking. They were doing chemical separation by hand, grinding, dissolving, crystallizing tons, literally tons of pitchblende residue in that leaky shed for 4 years.
And all that work paid off. 2 new elements.
The first, she named polonium after her beloved home country, Poland. It was a subtle but clear political statement,
And the second was radium.
known for its ghostly, persistent blue-green light. It was astonishingly active, and the scientific world was just stunned.
This changed everything. Physics, chemistry, medicine.
Overnight. And the immediate result, of course, was the 1903 Nobel Prize in Physics.
And right there, Marie Curie became the first woman in history to receive a Nobel Prize.
A huge validation. But it wasn't the end of her struggle. Not by a long shot.
No, because just 3 years later, in 1906, disaster, Pierre is killed in a street accident, and the world just waits for Marie to retreat.
The expectation was that she would retire into quiet widowhood. That was the norm. But that expectation, it just fundamentally underestimated her.
She didn't retire. She walked into the Sorbonne and took over Pierre's professorship.
Becoming the first female professor in the University of Paris's history, she just rewrote the institutional rules through sheer will.
And this defiance was tested again, wasn't it, in the lead up to her second Nobel?
Oh, severely. In 1911, she was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. But this prize came amidst this intense personal scandal.
The French press turned on her.
Viciously. It was a campaign rooted in misogyny and xenophobia. They were deeply uncomfortable with a powerful, single, foreign-born woman in such a high position.
And the sources show that the Swedish Academy actually tried to get her not to come.
They did. They asked her to stay home until the controversy died down.
But she refused.
Completely. She wrote back saying the prize was for her scientific work and her private life was irrelevant. She was separating scientific merit from slander.
She went and she accepted that prize. And in doing so, she became the only person ever to win a Nobel Prize in 2 different scientific fields.
Physics and chemistry. It was just an incredible act of self-assertion. Her actions spoke so much louder than any newspaper editorial.
And her work didn't stay locked in the lab. When World War I breaks out, she immediately sees a practical humanitarian application.
She refused to be a passive observer. She recognized the need for medical imaging on the battlefield, so she designed mobile X-ray units.
The little Curies.
The little Curies. Yes,
Yeah.
she designed entire vehicles with generators and X-ray equipment, basically functional labs on wheels.
And she didn't just design them.
No, she trained over 150 women to operate them, and she personally drove these X-ray trucks to the front lines, often under fire.
Wow.
She was risking her life to apply her own breakthroughs to save soldiers, helping doctors find bullets and set bones.
The impact is just massive. They say she saved millions of lives.
She absolutely did. It's one of the most heroic chapters in science. But it brings us to the final point. The tragic cost of all this pioneering work.
The danger of radioactivity, it was totally unknown at the time.
Completely.
Yeah.
She lived and worked intimately with it. She handled radium with her bare hands.
She kept samples in her pocket.
Yes, or on her bedside table, because she loved admiring the ghostly blue-green light at night. She was studying a force that was both brilliant and deadly, and she had no idea.
That detail about the glow is so haunting.
And the evidence of that exposure is still with us. Her notebooks, her clothing, even her recipe book. They're still so contaminated with radiation today, they have to be stored in lead-lined boxes.
She paid the ultimate price. She died in 1934 from aplastic anemia.
A direct result of decades of radiation exposure. She literally gave her life to science.
But her legacy is defined by those very risks she took. I mean, her discoveries are foundational to so much of modern life.
Cancer treatment, medical imaging, nuclear energy, modern physics.
And maybe most importantly, her sacrifice led to the rigorous safety standards we have today. We have safe protocols because she proceeded without them.
Absolutely. She opened the doors for every woman who came after her, not through speeches, but through sheer intellectual force and unstoppable tenacity. She proved that excellence transcends all barriers.
That's the core takeaway, isn't it? Marie Curie broke rules because the world needed someone brave enough to ask those hard questions. Her life confirms that great discoveries start with curiosity, not with privilege.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, it raises an important question for you to consider. Marie Curie's pursuit of a strange, glowing element, which cost her her life, eventually led to the global safety protocols that protect scientists today. So think about the areas of knowledge we're pursuing now in AI, in biotechnology, even space exploration. What unrecognized costs might we be incurring right now that future generations will have to mitigate with new safety standards?
That is a provocative thought to mull over. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the truly unbreakable scientist, Marie Curie.
Until next time.